Australia, land of sunshine, surfing and emu warfare. It might sound like a joke, but in 1932 Australia declared war on a formidable enemy, the emu. What followed was a series of events so bizarre, so comical and so utterly Australian that it became the stuff of legend. This was the Emu War. Picture this. World War I veterans armed with Lewis machine guns standing ready for battle. These seasoned soldiers who had faced the horrors of war were now preparing for an entirely different kind of conflict. They were facing off against thousands of emus, the large flightless birds native to Australia. These emus, with their powerful legs and keen survival instincts, were no ordinary adversaries. The stage was set in Western Australia, where a burgeoning emu population was wreaking havoc on wheat crops. The emus, in their search for food, had descended upon the farmlands, causing significant damage to the crops. Farmers, desperate for a solution, appealed to the government. Their livelihoods were at stake, and they needed immediate assistance to protect their crops from the relentless emu invasion. Their plea was answered with military might. The government decided to deploy soldiers to tackle the emu problem, a decision that would lead to one of the most unusual military operations in history. Soldiers under the command of Major Meredith were dispatched with a mission: cull the emu population. Armed with their Lewis machine guns, they prepared for a battle unlike any they had faced before. The campaign got off to an inauspicious start. Emus, it turned out, were remarkably adept at dodging bullets. The military's firepower seemed to have little effect on the birds, who scattered and regrouped with surprising agility. Days turned into weeks, and the emu casualties remained embarrassingly low. The press, initially supportive of the military operation, began to mock the endeavour. Section 4, Masters of Manoeuvre Avian Intelligence on display. The emus, it seemed, were not just lucky, they were strategic. Their ability to anticipate attacks and exploit weaknesses in the military's tactics was remarkable. They could cover vast distances, vanishing into the bush only to reappear where least expected. The soldiers, with their cumbersome equipment and linear thinking, were ill-equipped for this unconventional battle. Section 5, Lessons Unlearned, Hubris and the Environment. The Emu War, a resounding defeat for the Australian military, highlighted the dangers of human hubris and environmental mismanagement. In 1932, the Australian government deployed soldiers to combat the emu population that was wreaking havoc on farmlands. This decision was driven by the belief that military intervention could solve what was essentially an ecological issue. The emu problem was, after all, a human-created one. Farmers had expanded into the emus' natural habitat, disrupting the balance of the ecosystem. The emus, in search of food, naturally gravitated towards the newly established farmlands. The birds were simply thriving in an environment altered by human activity. The farmlands provided an abundant food source, making it an ideal habitat for the emus. This unintended consequence of human expansion led to a conflict that could have been avoided with better environmental planning. The decision to use military force against them was a drastic overreaction, one that ultimately proved futile. The soldiers, armed with machine guns, found it nearly impossible to control the agile and fast-moving emus. This episode serves as a stark reminder of the complexities of environmental management and the perils of underestimating nature. Section 6. A war story left untold. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the Australian government has been reluctant to acknowledge this embarrassing chapter in its history. The Emu War is largely absent from official military records. It stands as an uncomfortable reminder of the limits of human power and the unexpected consequences of our actions. Section 7. The Emu War, a feather in Folly's cap. The Emu War, despite its farcical nature, offers a valuable lesson. In 1932, Australian soldiers were deployed to combat a massive emu population that was wreaking havoc on farmlands. Armed with machine guns, they faced an unexpected challenge. The emus, with their speed and agility, proved to be formidable opponents. It reminds us that nature is not easily subdued, and that our attempts to control it can have unintended and often humorous consequences. The soldiers' efforts were largely in vain, and the emus emerged victorious, leaving the humans to reconsider their strategies. So, the next time you see an emu, remember the story of the Emu War, a testament to human folly and the enduring spirit of Australia's feathery foe. This peculiar episode in history serves as a reminder of the unpredictable and often humorous relationship between humans and the natural world.